Now, I'm uploading day 19, and my apologies in advance if I'm low. The rest of the family is sleeping. You might hear the central heat on in the background, but I wanted to document this. In actuality, I'm on day 42, but I wanted to make sure this thing wasn't gonna like vanish overnight before I even start sharing this information. So I'm on day 42, but this represents day 19, as you can see from the image in the screen. And this is what I want to go over today. Like, what happens if it's a losing trade? Because how it works, most people get 2 trades per day, and you're earning 1.2% a day based on those trades. Now, there's a little bit of a safety net built in the system, and I like it. And I was like, okay, that actually makes sense, and it can serve as a strategy for people to actually trade on their own if they choose. But this right here works for most people because most people are not going to learn the new language of trading. And if you ever try learning trading and then succeed, it's like learning the new language. Definitely a skill that I salute, but not everybody is ready to embark on that journey. But the safety net pieces, one, is what happens when it's a losing trade. That's good to know. And for a while, many people never experienced a losing trade. I experienced two, and I'll let you know how that played out just so you can have an idea. But the other safety net is you're only trading 1% of your money. So if you put in 1,000, just as an example, 1% of that is $10. So $10 is actually being used in the trade. Those $10 can profit you X amount. And if it's 1.2% a day, then that profit is, whatever it's going to be. I don't want to throw out any rough math, but you get the point. Now, on the grand scheme of things, that might not sound like it's very significant because if it's a 60% profit, meaning your $10 earned $6 twice a day, then you earn $12. That's 1.2%. That might not sound like a lot, but stacked up daily, compounded, it goes a long way. Very important. So some safety net built in the fact that it's only 1% of your money being traded typically. Now, when it comes to the losing trades, what happens? Well, we experienced the first losing trade, and I was like, okay. I mean, it's a 99% success rate, which is hard to believe, but I'm like, at some point, it has to be some losing trades because nobody is 100%, and 99% is crazy. But I understand they're only trying to win small percentages at a time based on their algorithms and the numbers and the things that they know to look for, small percentages at a time. So I'm like, oh, they're looking at it like, okay, we can just move here twice a day, then it's good to go. Long story short, it was a losing trade. In that losing trade, let's say I lost $6.10, just as an example. What they do is what's called a makeup trade. So if it's ever a loss, they do a makeup trade. That makeup trade is to give you an extra trade that you typically wouldn't have gotten, but to make up for the loss because they want to protect the integrity of the company and continue to have win-win situations where the people don't lose money. That's how they operate. So if it's a losing trade, they're like, hey, that last trade was a loss. This is what we're gonna do. And they give you a makeup trade. You copy and paste the code for the makeup trade. Once that's done, then you see the results of that. Now, the time that we lost $6.10, just as an example, the makeup trade may have made $11.89. I'm like, okay, we made up for the loss and some. Then another trade happened. It was a loss, maybe like the next day or a couple of days after that. Say we lost 584. The next trade made $12.96, just as an example. So each time there was a losing trade, you get a makeup trade to make up for it, and it trades a little bit of a higher percentage in order to give you a makeup of what you lost and some. So I was glad to see that because it's important to know how things operate under pressure. And I just wanted to see how they operated, and I love how they operate. And I'm like, okay, that made me want to share more. And at this point, I had started sharing it with people because when you share it, you can speed up the process of how your money doubles. Now, I started off with 521. So briefly, I want to show you what the math looked like if you invest 521, and then you let me know in the comments what you would consider investing money that you have sitting to the side that you don't need or not gonna use for mortgage or rent this month, what you would consider investing, and then in the upcoming video, I'll go over what your math could be in the next 90, 120, or even a year's time frame. So take a look at this real quick. So this is the calculator, so you can compound or calculate daily interest compound. So I have the daily compound selected, currency dollars, principal amount, which is the initial investment 521, at an interest rate of 1.2% daily. You know, because that's how it's operating. 1.2% daily, 0.6% per trade. 2 trades a day equals 1.2%. Now, let's see what that would look like after 90 days. Include all days of the week? Yes, because they're trading Bitcoin based on how Bitcoin is performing. So Bitcoin doesn't sleep 7 days a week. It's not like the stock market where you got, it works a 9 to 5 off on weekends and holidays. It's not that. 7 days a week. So that said, include all 7 days or all days of the week. Daily reinvest rate 100% because nothing is being taken out right off. So all of that money is going back in. Additional contribution, let's consider there are none. And then the start date, let's assume that the start date was, March 19th, just an example. Then we calculate. In 90 days, $521 would have grown 0.6%. So the investment value has grown to 1524, with the total earnings being 1,003. Simply put, if you do the math, I started with 521, it earned $1,000+, and now the total investment is 1524. That's at 90 days. Let's test 120 days, and then let's do 365. 120 days, calculate. In 120 days, that could have grown to 2180, all from a $521 investment. Most people, and the profit percentage is 318%. Most people aren't earning 318%. Some are, but not using just some simple copy and paste strategy. Now, let's say a person kept it in, or say I kept it in for a year. Now, I will be, just for the sake of proving that it works, I will be later documenting the withdrawal. But let's say I kept it in for 365, and the fact that I'm sharing it with others, these numbers can actually happen a little bit sooner. But let's just say I kept it in for 365. A $521 investment kept there for a year can turn into 40,000 plus. 40,000 plus kept in there for a year. I'm gonna pause right there just for a second. Because they say that compound interest, or Albert Einstein said that compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. This system has the potential to be the ninth wonder of the world, just based on the fact that 1.2% compounded could turn into 40,000 in a year's time frame. Now, I'm not here to be hypey or salesy or none of that, but that's pretty significant. But I understand any skepticism that may come from that, because it's like, 521, so that's some people's salary. That if they had 521 invested, 500 plus, it can turn into a pretty significant amount. And it can still be that way even if a person withdrew their initial investment. So say once you doubled your investment, you took out your initial investment, which you don't want to take out too early because there are penalties involved if you take it out too early. But you can still have a $30,000 plus investment value even if you took out your initial investment. So this is just something to consider. If you want to get started, there are links down below, and you let me know what number you're considering starting with, because this is based on 521. If I put $1,000 in there, you don't want to see the math. But the potential is real. I'm currently on day 42, but at the time of this recording, I'm representing day 19, and I'll be sharing the other videos. Let me know if you have any questions down below. But more importantly, I want you to consider this and consider joining with the team so we can get you plugged in, get you started the right way, and in position to win. And I haven't even talked about all of the other benefits that come along with it. You don't have to worry about selling or telling people that you're in this or doing this and recruiting. That's totally optional. I'm documenting my journey, but I hope to bring people along the journey with me so they can have their own experience versus just searching online for whatever anybody else is saying that has not had their own personal experience with the program. Only speak from firsthand knowledge in this case. Now, that said, if you want to take the journey, the links are available down below. If you're already on the journey, then I can give you access to a system of mine, a system that I'm using basically that can show you how to grow more seamlessly along your journey. So, that being said, see you on the next video. Mr. Smith signing out. Salute.